My 24 female parents, 60 male, 48 female, planned a mini 3 days family trip as they do every year. They invited my fiance, 28 male, and my younger brother's girlfriend. I've been dating my fiance for over 2 years, but we got engaged about 3 months ago. My brother, 20, has been dating his girlfriend since 9th grade, so she's like family. For my fiance, that was not the case. He didn't join any of our previous family trips when we were just dating. This was going to be his first time joining us. I was so excited. Let me start by saying this. My fiance's dog is not just a pet. She's a seeing eye dog. He's fully visually impaired and he needs her. She's not just a pet but also his mobility aid. She's also the sweetest, most calm dog you will ever see. Long story short, when my mom found out we were planning to bring her with us, she was surprised and asked me if we really thought that bringing a dog along was a good idea. I said, of course. What else did she think was going to happen? Apparently that was a ridiculous idea. They love her, but certainly don't want her on the family trip. I told her I'm sorry, but that's not an option. If she wants us to be there, that dog will also be there. Every time we went on a trip with my fiancé, she was always there and never caused an issue. My mom told me she respects that. We can spend our couple's trip however we want, but this is a family trip and we must respect their wishes. I didn't know what to say. The only thing I could say is I'm sorry, but we can't attend if they don't let us bring my fiancé's seeing eye dog. Then she got furious, started calling me names and told me I was being ungrateful, disrespectful, etc. I didn't want to argue with her anymore, so I just hung up the phone. Then my dad called me to fix things up. He said it's just a 3-day trip and I could very well guide my fiancé if I wanted to. I'm the one making things harder, and even if he can't join, I should still come. This made me lose it completely. I told him if my brother's girlfriend was going to be there, my fiancé should be there and that I wasn't making anything harder. They're the ones making this harder, and honestly, this is textbook discrimination. My dad completely dismissed me, telling me to shut up and that if they were bigots, they wouldn't have let me get engaged to him. They always let him bring her to family dinners. This is the one time they asked for a favour. I should have been more understanding. He said I should be ashamed for making my mom cry when all she wanted was a small trip with both her kids. Now I feel as if I'm a horrible daughter. Am I the idiot? Let you get engaged to him? Girl, not the idiot or even close to it in this galaxy. Their ableism is showing and they're all defensive about it. Also, name-calling is so unnecessary and is bad behaviour. If this had been a regular dog, I would have told you in a second that you were the idiot, but this is a medically necessary seeing eye dog. They're not asking for a favour, they're asking for something awful. Like asking someone in a wheelchair just not to come with their wheelchair for the weekend. Let you get engaged. Let him bring his visual aid to dinner. That dog is literally his seeing eye dog, not Fifi that he carries around in a sling. Your parents are not only bigots but also control freaks. Did they even give a reason of any kind why the dog wasn't welcome? Even an Airbnb with a no pets policy will make an exception for a seeing eye dog. Do not attend the trip. Your family is going to make your poor fiancé's life hell. He will be slower because he won't have his helper. He will be more nervous because he doesn't have a helper. He will have an overall worse time without that dog there because she is not a dog. That dog is above what a family member is. That dog is above your little brother's girlfriend. That dog is more important than your parents' feelings. That dog is probably one of the only things that helps your fiancé feel independent. You and your fiancé both deserve to feel safe and comfortable for 3 days, just as any other human being on this planet does, and a registered service dog is by no means a bother. On Saturday mornings, I study at a cafe. It's always crowded, coffee shop noise helps me focus, so I show up at opening time, 8 a.m, order some food and a drink and stay for 2 or 3 hours. The layout is mostly 2-person tables that can be pushed together, with some larger tables as well as counter seating. Even though I go on my own, I always sit at a 2-person table as the counters are uncomfortable for me and they don't have much space. I also like sitting against the wall so people walking by can't see my computer screen. Yesterday at about 9 a.m, I was working at a table when a random woman sat across from me. This made me angry because I didn't like my personal space being invaded. I would have appreciated it if she'd asked me before sitting down, but I ignored it. I was near the counter that day, so she might just have been waiting for her food. As I looked up, I noticed she was talking to another woman in the line to order. We'll call the first woman Beatrice and the second woman Susie. Susie said they might have to take their food to go because no tables were available. Beatrice didn't address me directly, but she gestured to me as if planning to take over my table. This made me angrier because it was like I was an object that could be moved, but I knew when the time came, I would ask them not to sit at my table. Sure enough, Susie got the order in and brought her number to my table. She then asked if I wouldn't mind moving to the counters so that her friend could sit there, saying her friend had recently had back surgery and the counters would be too uncomfortable for her. I told her no, the counters are uncomfortable for me too, and there wouldn't be enough space for all my books and notebooks. She called me rude and inconsiderate and said I shouldn't even be there because I wasn't eating anything. I said I'd bought breakfast and a drink, not that it was their business, and that they could take things to go. Eventually, one of the workers came over and asked if they were bothering me. I said they were, and Beatrice and Susie were asked to leave. When I got home, I recounted the story to my roommate. I thought she'd be as horrified as I was by their behaviour, but she hesitated to take a side. She said their behaviour was rude and entitled, but at the same time, I was taking up a table at a notoriously busy cafe for a long time, and I could have moved. Later, my sister likened it to not giving up a seat to a disabled person on public transit. I don't agree with this because transportation is a need for a lot of people, and these people didn't need to sit down at this cafe. Also, maybe this is idiotic of me, but I think many people say they have back issues or some other mild condition just to get things they want. Both my sister and my roommate said it was a they had to be there kind of situation for them to decide, so I'm wondering if any of you can decide if I'm the idiot without having been there. Everyone's the idiot here. Coffee shops do somewhat encourage hanging out, so I get it, but when there are no available tables for new patrons and you've already been there 2 or 3 hours, then yeah, you're an idiot both for hogging space and for affecting business. The fact that the employee moved the women along instead of asking OP to finish up tells me this particular coffee shop doesn't agree with you that OP is affecting business or hogging the table. Also, one reliable regular customer who spends enough to warrant the time and space they occupy is worth more than a pair of single-purchase customers. OP's not the idiot. This notoriously busy cafe will benefit from other people ordering and sitting down in 30 minutes compared to OP's coffee and breakfast over 3 hours. It will help since people like to sit, and sometimes my friends and I leave cafes or restaurants when there's no seating. Also, OP took up a 2-person table. Classic moment when OP got angry when their space was invaded when someone sat down on a 2-person table in a busy cafe. You are the idiot. You should be going to a library, not a busy cafe, to do this. Coffee shops aren't like sit-down restaurants with a need to turn tables in order to make a profit. OP occupying the table doesn't mean other patrons aren't going to buy items regularly. Usually people order and pay first, then find seating. So the food and drinks will be paid for regardless unless someone walks in and sees that the tables are full before ordering. Not the idiot mostly, but more so I'm shocked at the amount of people who think that studying at a cafe for 2 or 3 hours is wrong. That's such basic student behaviour. I'm having a hard time understanding why that's shocking. I'm a 27 male in my first year of residency. My work life, as expected, is exhausting. It feels like I spend all my time in the hospital, 72 hours per week, as I have yet to have a weekend off, which I could really use to sit on my balcony, staring at the Pacific for hours on end. This past Saturday, I worked my very first 24-hour shift and it nearly killed me. My back was aching, my feet were tired, and my brain felt like it needed a factory reset. I worked from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday, which wasn't too bad. Whenever I have downtime, I always check in on my partner as they work from home to see how their day is going and to talk about whatever. While we were on the phone, I asked them if they would make my favourite dish, which is simply katsu with brown rice and a lot of katsu sauce. They agreed, and I was ecstatic as I haven't had a homemade meal in a while since I don't have the energy to cook when I get home and usually just grab something when I get off work if something I like is still open. I live a little over an hour and a half outside of the city, but there was a terrible car accident on the highway, so my drive home took well over 2 hours. I pulled up hungry, ready to eat, but when I walked into the kitchen from the garage, there was no cooked food at all. I was angry, so I called out my partner's name and asked them to come here, but they didn't answer. I went upstairs and found them playing games on their PC in their office. I asked them to stop so we could talk, and I asked why they didn't cook as they said they would. They admitted they got distracted after getting off work and forgot about it. I said that's fine, but I would have really appreciated if they at least called me to let me know so that I could have stopped to get something while I was already out. I told them that I felt they were being inconsiderate as they know how much I have to work and how tired I am when I get home. My tone was stern when we spoke, but I felt it was called for. They called me an idiot for yelling at them for forgetting this little thing. After we were done, I was hungry, so I grabbed my keys and went to get something to eat for myself. I saw that while I was waiting, they texted me their order, but I ignored them. When I returned home, they saw I didn't get them anything. They called me a petty idiot and went back upstairs. I didn't say anything out loud as I wasn't in the mood and just wanted to eat, shower and go to bed. So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You've made a lot of personal choices that mean you're exhausted and stressed out. And that's hard, but ultimately it's on you. I get that you were really looking forward to a home-cooked meal, but it sounds like your partner also works and was just tired, decompressing from work, and forgot. Like, I assume you come home at a different time each day, and then you were an hour later because of an accident. Your partner is probably also just used to you not being there. Did you send a reminder about dinner, or an update on the time, offer to pick up groceries, etc.? Don't come here whistling how accepting you are, and then ask if someone was an idiot for not catering to you. Disagree, not the idiot. Your partner prioritized playing video games over the support they promised you. It's not just a little thing. A homemade meal when you haven't had one in days of hellish shifts means a lot, and I cannot imagine how defeated and sad you felt when they forgot, and not even apologize or offer to make it better. I don't even think they forgot. They just didn't care enough to bother doing the task they promised. They are rude and immature. Oh, whoopsie, I couldn't be bothered to cook for you because I was busy entertaining myself, is child crap. As an aside, if you work 70+ hours a week, living 1.5 hours away from your place of work is not sustainable. Update. Thank you all for commenting and helping me find a new perspective on this. I really do appreciate it. My partner is non-binary and uses they, them pronouns, which is why I use they and them throughout my post, not because I was afraid of sounding like a misogynist. I saw another comment regarding my commute time. I know it sounds insane because it is insane, but I'm over $300,000 in debt from undergrad and med school combined. I was left my home by my parents, and because it's paid off, I don't have a mortgage to pay. Apartments are expensive for a 2-bedroom, so I would need to accommodate an office space for my partner. I don't drive back home every night, which is something I should have mentioned because I do get exhausted and know it's much too dangerous for me to drive in that condition. This is another reason why I haven't had a home-cooked meal in a while because I'm barely home. I get a room at a motel, sleep there and go back to work when it's time. I understand now that this is unsustainable and is causing me extra stress that isn't helpful for me, my relationship or my life overall. I won't sell my house, but I will rent it out. I talked to my partner about it this morning along with some other things, such as couples therapy and my own individual therapy for my anger and short fuse beginning to develop. We both apologized to each other as well, my partner for forgetting and me for my sophomoric reaction to their forgetfulness. I told them about leaving our house and they were also thankfully receptive to this. They're not working today, so I asked them to look for places online that are no more than 45 minutes from the hospital. I love my partner. We've been together since my M2 days. They got me through the difficulties of med school, prepping for my boards through endless support and encouragement that I would pass, and through my parents' death. I will not let this job take away the person I intend to marry. I'm 26 male getting married, and my fiancée Nella, 25 female, and I aren't doing the dad walk the bride down the aisle, and there are no father-daughter or mother-son dances during the reception. We're walking down the aisle together. We're having a first dance. Once the first dance is done, anyone can dance, and there are no special dances planned outside of our first dance. Nobody else had any complaints about this except for my stepmother. She married my dad when I was 6 and became my primary caregiver when I was 9 after the death of my mom. She expected we'd have a mother-son dance. We talked about it. She told me how long she'd wanted this and that dancing with all her biological children would not make up for me skipping over this milestone moment. I told her this wasn't a moment Nella or I wanted to have at our wedding. My stepmother asked why an exception couldn't be made. She said Nella and her father don't need a father-daughter dance, but we could still have a mother-son dance. I told her it would not be a mother-son dance. If it happened, it would be a stepmother-stepson dance. Her face, as I said this, was showing how much it hurt her to hear. This was not the first time I'd used the step, and it had hurt her. She never saw me as her stepson, but as her son. But I always saw her as my stepmother and never my mom. She brought it up to me again a couple of times on her own. Then my dad got involved and he told me I could throw my stepmother a bone. He told me it wouldn't hurt to give her one mom thing. She's always been othered and kept at a distance by me, which is true. I never wanted her to be my mom and was never open to seeing her as my true parent or mom, so I never tried to let her in that way. I told them they needed to drop it and I wouldn't change what Nella and I had planned just for my stepmother. They mentioned it 3 times after this. Nella and I sat and discussed it, and we decided the next time one or both asked, we would take back their invitation. They brought this up again, and I followed through with what Nella and I agreed on, and I told them they were no longer invited to the wedding. I told them they'd pushed this boundary and they were demanding that I add something to a wedding that is not their own and is not being funded in any way by them. My dad said the money shouldn't matter. He then asked me how my half-siblings would be able to attend without them. I told them they would have to stay at home with the 2 of them if they didn't want someone in the extended family taking them. My stepmother asked me if I'd prefer for them not to be there over a simple dance for the 2 of us, where she can have one moment of feeling like she gets recognition as more than just being my stepmother. I told her I would prefer that, and it was their fault for refusing to stop asking. They told me I was making a big mistake and was turning into someone they didn't like before their very eyes. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They pushed the boundary and are dealing with the consequences. They should have accepted the first no and let it go. They've no one to blame except themselves. As for that last comment about them not liking who you've become, what that really means is that they don't like that they can't control you and get their way. They're acting like spoiled brats. Seems like, for whatever reason, you've never liked or accepted this woman into your life. You stated you remind her she's your stepmother even though she's been in your life since age 6. You further state you know it hurts her when you do it. Your wedding, your rules. I don't need or even want to know all your family politics, and even if you're not the idiot, as others have said, you don't seem very kind either. You do you, boo, but I think stepmother shouldn't waste her energy or feelings on anyone who thinks so little of her.